That's right, we're back. Welcome to Anything But Ordinary with Spooky and Raven. Tonight's topic is animals and the paranormal. I knew I would mess that up. But first, we're going to be talking to Crazy Guy, who's going to show us a picture that he took with his trail cam.
You
My
forgot to
name is.
introduce me, man. Go
I
on.
was getting to that. My name is Spooky, and here is Raven.
Yeah, you threw me off a little bit. You didn't do your regular routine. But I
Well,
guess
it's
we've been off for like a whole month, so.
Well, we've been off for a month, and it was just kind of hard to kind of get back into it. I'm surprised I didn't mess up any more than I did.
You didn't do that bad. I think you were just anxious a little bit, trying to get back into the swing of things. But, we took off a month because me and you had personal matters to attend to and take care of and
Right.
healing and stuff. So, how was your.
And this is our very first show
Since August,
since August.
right? And it's going to be cool because we're going to be talking about different thoughts and whatnot on pets and the paranormal and the spirit, animal spirits and everybody's theory on that. And then we have this caller calling in Crazy Guy, right?
Right. And I want to introduce Crazy Guy right now. How you doing, Crazy?
Pretty good, you?
Yeah, doing good. Doing good.
So,
I want
Hey.
I wanted to ask you about this photo you took.
Well, wait. Let's introduce Crazy. So Crazy, how long have you been in the paranormal for, or have had? Do you have a group or what?
well, right now it's a two-man group, and with just me and the old lady, we're trying to organize this team as soon as we can get it back up on its feet going again. Um, we ain't really much done nothing here lately. It's our group name, our Apparition Paranormal Investigator Society. um, Me being involved with the paranormal, I'd say one really getting into it,
Mhm.
maybe 24 years old. I'm 31 now, so
I thought you were going to say 24 years ago. I was like, wow, you started off young.
Wow, you started out as a kid.
Yeah.
now
Did you?
I've
Was
seen
there a
things as a kid, but
I was getting ready to ask you, was there a specific reason why you got into this? Why you decided to form your own investigation group?
well, when I was after my great grandma and grandpa died, I was just sworn I've seen them when I was a young teenager, like I don't know, 2012, 14 years old.
You you saw them in person form or how so?
Yeah, full body apparition. You can see through them.
Wow.
I tried to talk to them, but they couldn't talk to me. And I just thought it was something like one year after the other type of deal thing. And as I got older and got into his house, there was guess you'd call it a demon. I told it showed itself to me, and it did, and that's when I actually started believing into the stuff.
Wow.
So it have you oh, my question went got derailed. Have you been okay? You said something about seeing things as a kid. What sort of things did you see as a kid?
Is my great grandma and great grandpa.
Just them?
Yeah.
What about now? I mean, have you because if I remember right, isn't there something in your house?
Yep. I think I want to believe it's my dad here. There's two other girls, well, a woman and a girl here. I ain't really seen neither one of them except for the little girl, and it's probably maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago now.
Well,
So
that
this
you've had things thrown at you while living
Yep.
in your the place that you're all living in now, your wife's
Yep. The
family's place.
things happened not even too long ago. I was just laying on the bed back here watching TV. Nobody here but me, and I had a fan in the window, and where it's at right now, and there's no breeze whatsoever in this bedroom, even with a fan in the window. I got a couple water jugs over here next to my house stereo. They just come flying off the little speaker thing they're sitting on, and I got oil painting, like, I don't know what you call it. It's like them little chalk stick things, but it's oil base.
Mm-hmm.
I got
Right.
one of them right above my computer. It fell down, and it had 4 thumbtacks in it. How to explain that? I don't know.
Now you've seen also like orbs and
Yep.
colored orbs, not just with visually with your eyes, and you've like heard voices and seen things not just in the house but on the property as well, right?
Yep.
Okay, where you live now, is this a place that that is yours? Is it a place that's been in the family? Is this a place that you've been at for a while that you
Off and on. It's the father-in-law's land and old place and stuff.
so this is actually a very old house that you're living in.
Hmm. Honestly, I think it's a 60 model single wide or something like that.
You live up near
Okay.
the mountains, right? In that Tennessee, or where you
Yep,
live,
I'm on
Kentucky. Sorry, wrong state.
southeastern Kentucky. I'm on Tennessee, Virginia, and
Yeah, like right
Kentucky
in the
state
area.
lines.
Yeah, that's right. That's why it was in my
Are you
head.
in the mountains? Are you in like the Appalachian or the Green
Yep,
Mountains?
I'm in the Appalachians.
So there are a lot of things that get seen around there.
Right.
Yep, and I can drive maybe, let's see, about 65 miles southeast, and I'd be in the Blue Ridge Mountains.
Wow. So do you see anything out on the property? Is this property in town or is it like in the country or
So and so, it's 10 miles either direction. I'm in the middle of 2 cities.
so do you see anything on the property?
If it's a real foggy night, I do. But other
Because
than that,
I remember not just maybe apparitions or spirits or anything. I'm talking about strange animals too because I read somewhere that there are more sightings of strange animals in the Appalachian Mountains than any place else in the country, and for some reason that just popped into my head. So I was just kind of curious if you were seeing anything, on the property or
now strange animals, where I'm at, the only strangest thing that I've seen out of the ordinary here is bobcats being where I'm at. Bobcats ain't where we live, technically. You never see one down here.
Right. Well, they
Unless,
have. They also they talk about having, those. What do they have? A monster men or whatever they were talking about. Different creatures living up in the Appalachians. But now you had also set up a deer trail cam at the family farm because you said that there was activity at your wife's family farm as well. Before you guys went out and set up cams.
yeah.
Now you set up cams not trying to catch a ghost, but just to see the deers or whatnot, or what?
Yeah.
that's what I was going to ask you earlier, but I got ahead of everybody. Sorry about that.
That's
But
okay.
the reason you set up the trail cam was to get pictures of wildlife, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Take me a little sipper.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, we just wanted to see what kind. We was told there's turkeys and stuff down there on the farm, and we never seen turkeys on the farm literally. So we didn't believe my cousin's opinion about it or whatever when he told us, and we borrowed a friend's deer and trail cam and we set it up. Not knowing how it worked the thing, and I just set it for like, I don't know, between 3 to 5 seconds for each
Shot
motion sensor go off. Yeah,
frame, yeah, for each trigger.
and well, I went through like 40 pictures that what caught on there didn't catch nothing except for what I showed you guys that y'all be sharing here.
In a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
But um, so when you were going, well, you still had a whole bunch of them. You only showed a couple of them. I'll just throw this one up here. Now you were zipping through this, and then you'd seen this figure here in this deer trail cam.
Yep.
Now, and the farm, which this would freak me out because I have a deer trail cam. Spooky has one too, and I've never caught a specter on it. I didn't know that they were that sensitive to actually catch something like that. But when you showed this to me, I thought, oh my gosh, this is insane because you can see her legs and her arms, her dress, and
I know
her shoes.
I agree. I didn't think these trail cams were that sensitive. And like Raven said, I have one too. I have one right now. I put mine up in my attic. Nothing has set it off, and I know there's something up there because I hear noises and stuff up there all the time. I was amazed to see this. You can see her. You can tell it's a woman. You can see her arms, her legs, even her little shoes that she's wearing. Yeah.
When I remember we have it in group and stuff, when we were talking about it, I'm like, it reminds me of like the 1920s. 30s Dust Bowl era, the way that they had that plain dress and those, flat shoes that barely had any heel to them, and that's just what they always wore.
And it makes me wonder, though, why a woman, and she's not dressed in rags. I mean, you can look at her and she almost looks like she's going to a party or some sort of get-together or something. It just makes me wonder why she would even be out there walking along.
I'm going to show the zoomed. I'm going to show the zoomed up one a little bit more. We do have other photos of the same photo in our group on Facebook, Spooky's Corner, where we played with the highlight and the contrast and hues and stuff to try to bring it out more when we were looking at it. But yeah, I agree with Spooky. It's like she's coming from or going to, like she was at a gathering, maybe church or something. It's just like
right.
And it looks like she's holding something in her hand as well. And I thought at first maybe she might have been carrying a bucket, because they're at the farm. But, she could have been carrying a bag or a purse.
Yeah, back then their purses, it slung over their arms. It didn't go up over their shoulders, like they have now.
I don't even know. I don't think I've ever even seen a 1920s or 30s purse, so on the internet.
Well, they were big pocketbooks. Some of them were. And some of them were the little dainty ones that kind of hung on chains or whatever, but
if you look at her arm, it's like swinging out to the right, and the other one she's holding
like she's out for a walk, and it makes me wonder what happened on this property that there would be a spirit of a woman out there.
Well, what I found out today, it threw my mind in many directions. Instead of beating around the bush with my father-in-law about trying to find some of the history about the place, I just looked at him and said, hey, you have any idea how actually old the farm place actually is? And he said, yeah, I got a good estimate. He told me that it's either between 170 to 190 years old. So
did you happen to ask him if there was anything else out there? Because the reason I asked is back during that time, a lot of speakeasies were located out in the country, away from law enforcement.
But that was a tobacco farm, wasn't it?
Yep.
Okay.
Only thing I've found out is I know their side of the family is related to a old Indian chief by Chief Grey Wolf, and I tried to do some research on him today, and the only thing I found out is he's a Cheyenne Indian, and the white man went to slaughter all of his tribe, but the Indian chief, he learned the English language to set the white man up to massacre all the white people.
Whoa.
And why was a Cheyenne Indian chief in state Kentucky? I have no idea. Because I know there's a Cherokee and another Indian tribe here.
Right, Cheyenne. Well, unless they were down there because of the Trail of Tears, there were a lot of them. Of Indians relocated, Native Americans relocated, but Cheyenne was mostly in like Montana, South Dakota, out in that area.
Right. South Dakota for sure. Yeah.
That's what.
So it just it amazes me that there were even Cheyenne in Kentucky.
Well, Native Americans migrated.
Well, that's true. But that's true. But that area, though, it if I remember right, was mostly Cherokee. And there are quite a few, aren't there quite a few Cherokee reservations out that way?
Yeah, in North Carolina, so far out east of Virginia, somewhere out in there.
I'm going to switch back to the full photo while we're still talking. Now, on this farm, and I mean, it's been in the family forever, they had, it was a tobacco farm, and also, I think you had mentioned one time we were talking that some of the people were moonshine runners or rum runners, or were you talking about some of that stuff at one point? I believe that was you. Could have been Spooky too. I mean, she has a very interesting history.
I'm not sure about the moonshine part.
But I mean, I know that you guys.
There were a lot of moonshiners down in that area.
Yeah, ridge runners and stuff. You know,
Tennessee, Kentucky were really, really heavy with moonshiners. But then you had, but they were all over down there. You know, North and South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama. Alabama had a bunch of moonshiners. Arkansas, all in there. Cause my dad's from a town in Arkansas called Reno that was during the Prohibition era. A lot of the moonshine that was sold in the speakeasies came out of Reno, Arkansas. But Kentucky and Tennessee down in that area were really heavy with moonshiners. Sorry about that. I'm just full of useless information.
It's not useless. So there's always something that we all know that's interesting to somebody. So you never know when somebody
listening can use that information.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and maybe on a test in school next week. Who knows?
That's right.
Honestly, I don't know about the moonshining thing here, if it came through this area or not. But I know at one time it used to be a horse farm too. And with that said, the field we just went and bush hogged it like last weekend before, and I was standing out there next to the only pine tree in the middle of the field. It's straight as an arrow could be. I was just standing there enjoying me a cold beverage and stuff, and wind wasn't blowing whatsoever. And all of a sudden I feel like something ran past me, tore of a breeze type deal, you know. I don't know if anybody believes in animal ghosts or not, but there are nights you can go down there and you can see a ghost of a horse.
I believe you because my father, they lived in North Dakota, whatever, and they had, it's flat land everywhere out there. Everybody who's ever drove through North Dakota, South Dakota know that you're lucky if you see one or two trees in a few hours. But they used to go out there, and there's this one farm that there was, it was completely haunted. Everybody kept always going out there. They even had scientists go out there who were investigating it, and they were seeing animals, horse spirits, and that was always, going back and forth between the house and the fields and stuff, but it would never cross over the rivers. Either with this other specter that they couldn't figure out what it was. It was like that neon green color that they always show in, what's that movie? Ghostbusters. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That Slimer color. And everybody who went out there, their vehicles would quit working because the entities that were out there could manipulate, I guess, vehicles and make them stop running. So, well,
they draw energy. You're going to get a lot of energy off a vehicle. I wanted to ask you, when you were out there setting up this trail cam in this particular spot.
Did you have a feeling? Good.
Yeah.
God.
Did you feel anything while you were out there? Did you have any feeling that something was there, or? And what is that tripod thing standing there?
I think
that is a feeder.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was laughing because I didn't want to put out a slam because I'd have been in trouble.
I didn't feel nothing. It was just a normal day, We always just go down there, camp out for a night, drink a couple of adult drinks, and...
Kool-Aid.
So you actually set this up in an area that you actually knew?
Yeah. This area right here is not even maybe 150 foot away from the barn we was sleeping at that night.
Oh, wow. So this thing could have came up into the barn.
It could have.
So that kind of does explain what she's doing out in the woods, like she's coming back from some sort
Neighbors
of social
or
event.
Knows, or
she's
something,
going home.
Now, I don't know if it could be my father-in-law's mom or what, because she died there. That's their home, you know. She died right there at home.
She
Well,
could have been out.
but
Maybe they could have been out buried. You know, because back in the day, my grandparents, and my great grandparents, they wore their dresses when they were out working. You know,
Yep.
and then have the certain
well,
aprons on when
a
you're
lot of them
outside.
did. But
So
back then, I mean, this woman in this photo looks like she's from about the 20s or the 30s. And back then, you could walk home and not be afraid to do so. You know, sometimes they'd walk to church, sometimes they'd walk into town, or sometimes they'd walk over to the neighbors. You know, if the neighbors were having something going on, and it back then it was safe for a woman to walk home and
well,
not
I
have
think it
to
was just
worry
a way
about
of
it.
life too, if you
Yeah,
think
it was a
about
way
it.
of life too. You know, I mean, cars were not as plentiful then as they are now,
Well,
Right.
although they did have them.
most people walked. I mean, for all we know, she could be Amish. But I find it interesting that it's not just this, but because you've seen female spirits, you've seen a horse spirit, and then you also have that thing that's near the farm. It's on a road.
What do you?
Crazy.
What? Sorry, I was.
You got to pay attention to this part. No, you said that you had saw a male. People had seen a male spirit that would go across the road, but it was a bad spirit that was near the farm
Yes.
as well, right?
Yes. It's on the road coming in and out. We had a 87, 88 model uh, GMC Jimmy,
Mhm.
and we was coming off. We was working in tobacco one day. We was coming down over the hill, up the other hill, till we got on the main road of the road to the farm, you know. And all of a sudden, our headlights went out, and I was talking to the wife, you know, and I know her hands didn't touch the light switch to turn them off. All of a sudden, we looked up, we seen this guy in black slack pants, t-shirt type, and wearing some kind. I can't
You didn't
say what
explain
kind
the
of.
outfit, yeah. But a
I guess,
later, like a 30s or 40s type.
yeah, between 40s, 30s to 50s areas type clothes.
Mhm.
And he walked straight across the road, over the ditch, up to the barbed wire fence that divides their our property against
Someone
to the
else's.
other.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he just vanishes in thin air.
Wow.
And when he vanished, our headlights come back on. Then we passed the wife's aunt's house. The headlights went off again, and they stayed off until we got to the end of the road.
See, and this is all like she's right close to the farm property as well. So it seems like it's a wide variety of activities
Right. I mean, if
in
she's only
general.
100 feet from the barn,
Well, not just her, but the man that he saw on the road driving on the way
right?
to the farm. Then the
And
thing by their aunt's house. See, you guys say aunts, I say aunts.
So,
No,
so for all you know, this could be a relative of your wife's. It's your wife's farm, your wife's family farm, right?
yep, could be.
So
Now the guy,
this could very well be a relative of your wife's
I
now
just,
the guy
going
we,
home.
yeah, the guy that was with you, did he see these pictures yet?
nope.
Oh, well,
I'm sort of anxious about showing them to him.
why you don't think he'll want to come back to the farm?
Nope.
Wait, you also mentioned something about you camped out in this area too. You never saw anything or heard anything or felt anything while you were camping out here?
No, you go to the house unless somebody around the area like started shooting guns and stuff.
Well,
It's more or
yeah.
less a peaceful place to be at. Now, if there's an argument, people just get wild hair, open their front door, shoot a gun or something out. Things, strange things start to happen.
After you shoot a gun outside the door, strange things start to happen? Is that what you just
Yeah,
said? Well,
yeah.
I imagine. So. It's not every day
Wonder
you
how many
see.
rum runners are actually in that area.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
was
know,
just
but-
gonna
Walking
say.
around
But
looking for their catch.
to the right of her, if you go right there behind the tree lines, it's a drop off,
Oh wow.
Wow.
and it's like a little gorge. You keep walking to the little gorge area, you come up to a decent sized waterfall, and behind the waterfall there's a bear cave.
Wow.
So I don't know if people could actually be done moonshining back then or not.
Well, like I said before, she could also be coming back from some sort of social event, you know. Um, Somebody may have had a party. She could be coming back from church. I couldn't figure out why this woman, as well dressed as she is, would be out walking in the woods. But since you said that it's about 100 feet from the barn, then it kind of makes sense because she would be walking home.
Right.
Or maybe she walked out that way. There's berries out there. Or maybe it's like a routine or something. Or maybe they just knew that Crazy and his friend was sleeping in the barn, and she decided to show up and have a little fun with them.
And it doesn't necessarily mean either that she was out after dark. I mean, you know, this could have been someone that was
It could be a
walking in the
residual.
daytime. Her spirit just happened to show up at night.
We it could be a residual haunting or something like that, and we
Exactly.
finally caught it.
I kind of think it might be a residual. I don't know why. It's just the feeling that I get that it's residual, and you just happen to have your trail cam up at the right time.
I'm fascinated by the fact that a trail cam caught this photo because I didn't know that trail cams were that sensitive.
I didn't either.
But to me,
Me
then
neither.
this thing must have been more solid than what people normally see in
well,
general
if you
when
look
they are
at her,
encountering
you
things.
cannot see through her. She's pretty solid,
Right.
and it's full body. I mean, you can even see her head, her arms, her
Legs,
legs,
her
even her feet. You can see those shoes that she's wearing.
Well, yeah, and her
And
other arm.
she's pretty solid. I
Right.
think that she's solid enough that she possibly could have set it off. She had to have set it off.
Well,
There's
she did
nothing
set
else
it
there
off.
that
Yeah.
would have.
No, she did. Well, because you had other photos before this one and after this one. There's nothing before them, and there was nothing after this one shot, which we didn't show in here because we have a couple other photos to show later on tonight. But I mean, we just kind of limited it, all the photos, and we basically were showing the ones that have the object in it. But we have it on in our Spooky Corner group where you can go and see the highlighted and played with versions to bring it out more, so you could actually see. It does have a lot of density or solid form to her, and I just think
Right.
it's. Could you imagine being out there when she came walking by? You'd probably think she was real. I mean, that's how solid she
Real.
looks,
But
That or you'd drop your moonshine and say, okay, I've had enough. I don't know. But
Yeah,
Exactly.
really. I was about to say that.
no, we was out there one time. We was doing some logging work and stuff to make extra piers in the barn. Father-in-law, he took a swap with a chainsaw to a tree, missed the entire tree, and he shut her down. And goes, well, I think I had enough.
Yeah, as long as I've been doing investigations and with a lot of things that I have seen, I still believe if I'd been standing there and she walked by, I think I would have wet my pants and then left. I really do, whether I'd been drinking or not, because she is just so solid. It's when I first saw this, I thought it was someone actually standing there. That's how solid and how oh, what's the word I want? How complete this apparition is.
what if she's not an apparition? What if it's like one of those time travelers where she's in between the barriers of the walls where she's just starting to form and come through? Maybe you have a jump zone in your area. I'm just throwing stuff out there. I don't know what I'm talking about. But I'm serious. There's she's so solid. It makes you think she's almost a real person, except for her face is all smudged out.
Yeah.
And I
find that interesting too, that her face is not as vivid and as clear as the rest of her.
It is strange.
But you can see her head, you just can't make out her facial features.
Right. And I'm going to go back to the full picture right quick. But when you're looking at the pictures, this camera takes good quality photo. I mean, it's got to at least be
Yeah.
what was the
Absolutely.
megapixel that you know of? Was it like 6 point, 8 point megapixel?
I think it was 8.
Because it looks like it takes at least about 75 to 50 feet
And
range when it's triggered.
talking about this cam, I'm going to answer Vamp's question. I don't know if it was a infrared camera or not. I would think so. I just know it's first time me messing with this camera. First time ever messing with a game camera.
It is an infrared camera. I mean, that's how it can take night shots. It probably has like the little lights on the side or whatever, but
it's my friend's camera, and I just know it's almost right at $800 camera. And,
Oh my.
wow, that would explain the sensitivity of it then, right, Spooky?
Really?
and
For
he
$800, that thing better stand there and click anything that walks by.
It better make me
just
eggs and bacon too, man.
Mm-hmm.
right.
Wash
He
my
just told me how to
windows.
set the little timer
In your
switch on it
bathroom.
for the
Clean
shots,
my
and that's all I
bathroom. That's
messed
right.
with.
Dust my floors.
Cause if something happened to that camera and is in my care, oh Lord.
$800 camera. I don't know if I'd leave it in the woods.
Well, we was close.
I'd have to sit and guard that thing all day.
Yeah, chick
Well, we was
chick.
pretty close to it, so.
You know, put a chain around and
But we was
tie it to the
asleep
tree.
during this time.
Sleep or pet.
Where were you?
He was in the barn, he said, remember?
You
we
were
was
in the barn?
camping. Yeah, this was probably took about between 3 and 4:30 in the morning.
Is it really camping when you're in the barn, or are you just, you know, having a sleepover? But
No,
the thing is,
it's sleeping over in the barn.
Yeah,
Is what it is.
sleeping with the cows. But I think you need to get like a video camera out there. You know, they have.
I do too.
Do you have the internet out at the farm?
Nope,
Oh,
none whatsoever.
bummer. Well, maybe you can. Well, you know what? You can get like a laptop, maybe, and if someone has well, you have a laptop. You should run your laptop out there. Maybe somebody you know has like one of those cams that you can borrow with a cable and just set it up and see what you can run for a while and see if you catch anything. Especially in the barn. Who knows? Maybe there's a lot more activity up by the house than people are aware of. You know.
Now, from the closest place to have electricity out there to the barn, I'm going to need at least.
Well, you know, for $800,
2,000.
that trail cam should take videos. Even though videos on those things do eat up the batteries. I think next time you put it up out there, I think maybe you might set it to video. Maybe you'll catch something.
I will talk to him about that, and see if it does, and if it does, I'll be surely to do that. Because I'm anxious myself about what's all on that land. I mean, personally, I don't like it I'm sitting here at the house, I don't like it over there at that place. But once I'm down there, I'm in love with the place.
So the place
It's
you're
like-
staying at right now, you feel more uncomfortable and uneased with the spirits and stuff that are in this area. Like it's more negative where you're at now, but when you go to the farm, you feel like it's more at home, like you belong there. Is that what you're saying?
No, like, I just despise it down there at the farm and stuff. But once
Until
I'm
you
down
get
there,
there.
yeah, it's like a soothing, calming thing.
Well, you know, either you're a country person or you're not. I know several people that are like that. You know, they don't like coming out to places like this. But once they get there, they're amazed at how quiet and how soothing it is and how relaxing it is. Of course, that's because they don't have to get out and milk a damn cow or feed the chickens.
Sorry, my cat was piping in. I guess he had to get his and come back in and get his, you know, time on the internet because it's been a
There you
month
go.
since he's been on the show. So, you know, the thing is, do you think it's the energy, or when you step onto the land, then all of a sudden you feel different? But
yeah,
before you go there, you just feel like I don't want to go here. But then as soon as you get there, it's almost like something overcomes you. Is that what you're trying to explain?
yeah. When I'll be sitting in the car since we pull up, I'm like, I don't want to be here. But
Right.
when I finally do step out of the vehicle, it's a whole different ball game.
So why do you feel that way? I mean, is there something that you just don't want to be there because of why? Because it's boring, or because of the weird things that are there? I mean, what's making
or is
you,
it even just the trip down there?
or is it the
be
company you're
honest-
with? No.
To be honest with you, I'm clueless about that. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love the countryside and stuff. It's just maybe I worry too much about what's going on down there or something like that.
Maybe you're tuning into something where you just, feeling uneasy about something because maybe
That
there
could
is
be it,
something
too.
there that's, you know,
Which, like that
not so
man that
positive.
crosses the road,
Right.
I'm pretty sure he is not a friendly person or spirit.
Do you get that feeling? Did you get that feeling when you saw him? That you just knew that whatever that was just not friendly?
Well, first time I heard about him, I didn't believe nobody till that night I seen him, and it was more like something you see, you just freeze. Like, did
Right.
you see what I seen?
Like that did
Yeah.
not just happen because it was
Yeah.
almost so solid. I'd be freaked out. Like, you think she would have slammed on her brakes thinking I'm about to, kill somebody, If you
Yeah,
just,
really. I mean, when they're that solid, when you first see them, the first thing you're going to think of is you're going to hit your brakes
Or-
because you're afraid you're going to be hitting somebody. And then the second thing you're going to think about is what in the world is somebody doing out here?
yeah, and why are they on
Way
my
mo-
property?
way
Yeah.
my wife drives, if there ain't nobody in front of her that's sitting her brakes, she won't stop for nothing.
Is this farm
Mm.
in Kentucky, right?
Yep.
Okay, because Jason was asking where is this farm at. It's near the mountains or in the mountains or...
Yep.
It's around the
It,
Appalachian Mountains.
it's yeah, sorta. It's here in
Nearing.
Kentucky, but from the farm to the mountains, it's probably 20-minute drive.
Yeah. Well, that's still not very
That's closer
far
than
away.
what, yeah. Mountains to me are like 100 million miles away, to you
Now,
20 minutes. It's like a spit in the
now my
bucket.
hometown, which is 50 miles from here south, no matter where you go down there, you're in the mountains within 2 minutes.
Well,
So that
compared to
place
the
is
rest
right
of
in
us,
the
you're pretty
foothills.
close, but yeah.
Yep.
It's not, see, now, I think it's fascinating 'cause some of the things that you've been talking about, and you're not the only one who's experienced things. There are other people, your wife, and then, now, there's people living at the farm, right?
Certain parts on it at the farm.
Now, have they told you guys any stories or experienced any oddities?
No, except for my aunt, not my aunt, my
Is the
wife's.
original I'm sorry. Is the original farmhouse still standing?
Yep. Sure
Has
is.
anybody said anything about seeing anything in the house? Have you experienced anything in the house?
I never been in the house 'cause my wife's uncle and his wife and family lives in it.
Yeah. So when you go down there, where do you stay? Are there other houses around on this property?
We got a camper and stuff
Okay.
like that over close to where his picture was taken, but it's a little further down from where the barn is.
Okay, so you don't actually stay. Does anybody ever mention about seeing anything in the house?
Nope. If it is, it's probably father-in-law's mom 'cause she died there.
I see.
I think it's interesting that you capture a female figure apparition or what have you here, and then also at the place that you're staying now, which is still the same family who owns the place that you're staying in now, and you've seen and you heard the female voice and had things and objects tossed at you there. So it's funny that both of these places there's a female spirit. It almost makes me wonder if she's just following you around. It has nothing to do with them at all.
Now, when I
That's a
first
good
back
question.
back when me and the wife was dating and stuff, when I first met her and stuff, I don't know, maybe a couple months into the dating thing, her mom and dad and her little brother, he was like in second, third grade at the time. They had to go to Ohio, and it left me and the old lady watching the house. I stayed in the old lady's bedroom, and she stayed in her mom and dad's bedroom and stuff. Till one night, the second night we was house sitting for them. I was sitting there flicking through channels, being myself, under a good cold air conditioner, whatever. The bedroom door made a slight creak sound, maybe something like that, but lighter. But I didn't pay no attention to it. I just continued doing what I was doing. So all of a sudden, I could have sworn I seen something outside my eye, and I kept looking, never did see nothing. About fourth or fifth time I looked, I seen two old people looking in at me. Me just turned 20, 21 years old. Got out of the bed, ran and jumped in the bed with the old lady. Like, hell, I didn't know what it was that close to me, you know? It's like maybe 8 foot away from the bed to the door. And I told her what happened and stuff. She walked me through the living room. She pointed to a picture, and I told her what it looked like, it was the same two people I seen in the picture.
Wow.
And
They
it
were
was
probably just checking on you, make sure y'all were,
They wanted to know
behaving.
who was in their bed.
Yeah.
and it was her mom's mom and dad.
Hmm. This particular photo, have you shown it to your wife?
Nope, I'm afraid to.
What? Maybe you should stop being afraid to show people stuff and just show them. Maybe they'll say, "Oh my gosh, I saw this, last week when I was over here." I'd be curious to see if anybody else was having experiences or whatnot.
I can't believe that you're afraid to show her this photo, but yet you and her saw that man crossing the road.
Yeah, but she's skeptic as well.
Ah.
So she didn't even slow down and thought, "Okay, this is a real person walking by. Screw him, I'm just gonna run him over and get points." I mean, kind of like that. What was that? What's that one movie? You know what I'm talking about?
How many stick figures you got on the side of your car?
Yeah, no doubt.
The movie Satan's Little Helper.
No, that's not the movie. I'm talking about the 70s movie where it was like a race. Death Race or 2000 or something like that. Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. Because, I mean, she don't believe in it, but yet she's having these experiences, and this is the only experiences
and she's hearing these stories. Did she grow up in this house at all, or did she visit it? Or I'm sure as a child she must have visited this place, and she hasn't experienced anything?
Well, she went to visit her papa when he was alive down there, and when he passed away, her grandma tried to lock her up in a bedroom, and I think the wife called her the B word and all this stuff, and forbidded her come back down there as long as she lived.
Oh, wow. So they had little family issues. But you guys lived in an apartment, right? And on that apartment, you said that you guys had experienced, you and her together had dark experiences happen in this place. And you had captured photos, but unfortunately we can't show those photos because they're trapped on a phone that you can't charge. So which sucks. But why don't you tell about that?
I'm in the same boat with y'all. We experienced all this stuff together, but yet she still claims she's a skeptic. And this apartment, I got to think about maybe the story went back to when I was 16-year-old doing what a normal teenager does, partying wise, and went to my aunt's house one night and walked in. There was a group, her boyfriend, and a bunch of other people in a circle holding hands, candle lit. I walked in saying I arrived and all this stuff. Nobody answered. Till I walked in, seen them in the circle and everything. And I was like, okay, what in the world are you doing,
Yeah, I would be too. I'd be like, what?
I never experienced somebody just in a circle like that holding hands with candles lit, and unless you was at camp singing Kumbaya or something like that, but
around the campfire
with fireworks. Yeah.
And so I walked in, started looking around, and all of a sudden, where his candle was in the middle of the table, there's like this creature thing with red eyes. I dropped what was in my hands, took off running out the door. I didn't know what the crap was going on, So I waited good 4 or 5 hours, then I called her, said, you do know I was there, right? She goes, no. I'm like, well, I walked in, y'all was doing some kind of a mumbo jumbo thing. That's my words at the time.
Right.
And I didn't know if they was planning on doing something else or what. She goes, no, we was just having a seance and stuff. I'm like, well, I've seen this big black thing with red eyes. I'm like, I'm not coming back there ever again. She goes, oh, don't be a chicken. Come on, it's done and over with. So...
I wouldn't be back there either. No.
So to cut the story a little bit down a little bit and stuff, I walked in, got hung up, the hanged of the place, whatever, the vibe.
Yeah.
Got it straightened out, and it was coming all of a sudden I just moved in upstairs of this big 2-story house. It had 10 bedrooms and 12 fireplaces in it.
What? 10
Wow.
bedrooms and 12? Okay, I would.
Cool.
Yeah, what? I
Yes.
would still be living
That
there.
sounds awesome.
I would too today, but things happen there.
Right, well, go
Uh,
on.
I got looking around the foundation because most of these old colonial style homes, you look around somewhere on the foundation, it's going to tell what year the house was built and stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
I found it. It was built in 1892. So I went to the Carnegie Hall library thing we had in my hometown. I did some research about it, and it used to be an old shipboat captain's house, and it
Wow.
turned into a slave home. Excuse me.
Could
It
you
turned into-
imagine having to take care of all those fireplaces as a slave? I'd be like, I quit. But you can't quit. But you know what I mean? You'd be like plotting
real.
Well,
your revenge.
this place has a fireplace in every room because that's how the houses were heated back
You got
then.
10 beds and. They're 10 beds.
Well, I don't have 10 bedrooms.
10 bedrooms. You may have
But
10 beds. I don't know.
Some
but,
of the fireplaces, though, are blocked off.
Right, but
Yeah.
yeah,
We
but
call them capped. They got metal things in front of them, but no, that's how they heated their homes back then.
oh yeah, I know, but your place is nowhere near how huge this place is. I'm just
Oh,
like,
no, not as huge as that.
I
no.
would be like, dude, you should just go back and take pictures of this place because it sounds amazing.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, old
I-
houses intrigue
could-
us in general anyway.
That's a house you could walk 30 minutes in and not go in the same room twice. I love those old houses.
If you ever want to get out of dishes, just live in one of those houses as a kid. You could go hide in a different room every time, and your mom will never find you. So.
Right.
Now there's 2 places in this house. Well, 3.
Did
places.
you live in the entire house?
The upstairs I did.
What's
My
that?
aunt, her boyfriend, and her 3 kids at the time had all downstairs. It had bathrooms, full kitchens, and everything on both floors.
Oh, cool.
And
You could totally roller skate through that place.
right, except for when it comes to the stairs. And I'm like, does it matter which bedroom I want upstairs? She goes, no. I'm like, okay. So I'm walking through the house. I was gonna pick the attic right off. And I opened the attic and I seen what kind of condition it was in. I'm like, nope, there ain't no floor in this, just beams. So I kept walking through the house, come across the furthest bedroom in the back of the house I could find. I got laying there, listening one night, just looking at the ceiling and come find out. I was looking at the design of my bedroom. It was in shape of a coffin. And
Wow.
I was laying
Wow.
there in front of the window, like
You're in a
you-
coffin, yeah.
getting perfectly rolled coffin in where my bed was. And it just hit my mind that night. I'm like, you know how teenagers' minds run wild. Then one night we all got together downstairs, have a little party, whatnot. I think it was a kid's birthday party or something. Well, they went to their grandma's later on that night, for a sleepover over there. And I got up, stoked a fire in the living room. I walked from the living room through the hallway. I seen like a oldish black lady just in an old rocking chair with a quilt over her legs. And I thought had one too many drink or whatever.
Mhm.
I went to the restroom, did my business, washed my hands, come back through. She was gone. I'm like, okay, I must be seeing things. So I told my aunt and her boyfriend what I just seen, and they're like, whatever. Well, same thing happened to her boyfriend. He seen the same thing. He walked through the hallway in the living room. He goes, I believe you now. I'm like, good, I'm not losing my mind, whatever. So later at night, I was crashing out in the living room. They went to their bedroom. We knew the kids wasn't there. We kept hearing kids running up and down the stairway, hollering, "Mommy, Daddy, something's after me," whatever, giggling, laughing, carrying on like little kids do. We all got up. We searched the house for kids, see if kids got in there. We did not find a trace. And if you sat on the porch of this old house during a good thunderstorm, you look back through the big, I want to say 4 point something acre land with it. If you look back in the field off to the side of it, you can see like people being whipped to death and stuff like that.
Oh my.
Holy cow.
And
Yeah.
now, one winter, I'm sorry I'm taking so long.
That's all right.
One winter, we was all there in the kitchen having lunch or something other, like a family would do, just shoot the you know what with. All of a sudden, they had a 80-something model Chevrolet 2-ton truck sitting outside. Headlights came on. The battery wasn't hooked up or nothing. We went out there checked see if there was a short or maybe wires touching. There was no such thing during that thing. By the time we make it to the house, the lights are flashing on and off. The horns are blaring.
Whoa.
We go back out there, pulled the battery out of the truck and set it on the ground. We locked it back up, went into the house. Here it goes again. I'm like, we're rolling that sucker over the hillside where somebody's coming towing it. They're like, you're not getting rid of my truck. I'm like, well, I don't like it. It's creepy. Well, later on, come find out they in the garage sitting next to where the truck was sitting. There's 3 people that got murdered in the garage.
Oh, wow.
And
Wow.
this is story-wise, hearsay and stuff. When you try to go back and look into it, you can't find nothing about it because in this town, organized crime was a top thing. So
People don't realize how far of a reach that organized crime had. You know, even to small backwoods towns.
it's
Not
still
that you're
going
from a
on.
small backwoods town, don't get me wrong, but
Organized
people
crime.
just don't realize how far of a reach that organized crime had. I mean, it didn't matter, you know, if it was a big city or a small town. They still, you know, when they set up someplace, they set up someplace.
As far as my reach is for organized crime is into Spooky's pantry when I take an apple or something. So.
So that's where they've been going.
Yeah. I think it's fascinating, but you also said that you and your wife had seen and captured demons.
Yes, also they're on the phone. I cannot find a freaking charger for. I got one here somewhere, or it's out in the garage packed up. I just cannot find the freaking charger for it.
If you ever do charge it, though, and get the photos, we'd welcome you to come back and share it with our listeners and with
absolutely.
us, because we would love to check them out as well. But if you could share the story with us, that'd be awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Right now.
Oh, okay. Y'all carry on, man. I gotta have me a sip of water.
Okay. Well, Spooky, want to finish your thought on organized crime thing or about this
No,
lady
that was all
about
I
the
had
farm?
to say.
I think it's interesting though that they're seeing. It seems like every place they go to, they're seeing stuff. But the fact that his wife was doing a séance, I mean, how could she not know that? She must have been in a trance. Oh, wasn't your wife? Oh, sorry. Good.
It's my aunt and her boyfriend.
Oh, I apologize. I did not mean to.
I don't know if if she's involved in one of those things, I'll be go seeing a lawyer tomorrow.
You know,
I apologize. I mixed it up.
you know,
right.
maybe it's possible since your aunt and her boyfriend were doing a séance, maybe they drew something into the house.
Right.
Of course, a house that old, you know, it probably had spirits in it anyway, but
Which is possible because after they moved out of that house, moved to the newest place, me and him got talking one day going down the road and stuff. He come to me said he believes there's like 9 demons from hell is inside of him and stuff like that.
oh wow.
But
That's where you get rid of him and get a new boyfriend.
Yep.
One that's not so crowded.
But now he's going to church and everything, and last time I talked to him, everything's good for him now.
How do you? I'm sorry, I laughed because she said one that's not so crowded. How do you know when someone's got multiple possession spirits in them and stuff? But I mean, if they're doing a séance, they don't even know that.
They don't normally know unless they admit it, like that guy did.
True.
Yep.
But or he just wanted to get out of doing something. But the fact is that they were doing a séance in this place, and then they don't even know that you were there. It makes me wonder if they were all being used by this thing that they were conjuring up if they were all in a deep trance, because I've seen other people do seances and Ouija boards and all these other things, and I've never seen people slip into a whole group of people slip into a trance. I wonder if there was something there that was influencing them to make them want to do these seances so that it could come over and cross over. You know what I mean? It makes me curious of why. There's always things I'm always thinking about. That's one of those interesting things.
Well, I wouldn't stay in a house if they were using a Ouija board. If I walked in, they were using a Ouija board, I would turn around and walk right out. I would probably do the same as a seance. I've never taken part in a seance, even as a kid. You know, people used to get around and say, "Oh, ha ha, ha, let's do a seance," you know, just for fun. I didn't even do it as a kid.
See, my mom,
You
she
know, and
thought
I don't do them as an adult.
my mom thought she's gonna pull a good one on me one Christmas. She bought me a Ouija board from KB Toys. I didn't open the thing because I was raised that they didn't work and what blah 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 and this. Mom wouldn't let us watch movies about stuff like that anyway. So first thing I did, I threw it away, and that was the end of it. And
I don't mess with them. My first experience with a Ouija board, I was a kid and I was at my cousin's house and they had one and they thought of it as a toy. And personally, back then I did too. I wasn't all that old. I think I was like 9 or 10 years old. And they would play with this Ouija board. And I noticed that after they'd get done with the Ouija board, I'd start seeing shadows in that house. And pretty soon it got to the point to where when they would bring out the Ouija board, I wouldn't even stay in the house. You know, I would just go out and walk around out in the yard or do something, because it finally connected with me that these shadows I was seeing were connected somehow to that Ouija board. And it was a couple years later when I really found out why the Ouija board was invented, that it wasn't really a toy, that it was invented specifically for communicating with the dead. But it wasn't until, but it wasn't until I was, I guess, 18, 19, 20 years old when I realized it was opening a door. Because like I said, you know, I had seen things all my life. I had been able to communicate with spirits all my life. But I still had a lot to learn, because I grew up with a mother that if I would say something to her, she would tell me that they were just demons. To her, you know, all spirits are demons.
I got a
So,
friend like that.
yeah, so it was a long time before I even was really able to learn anything about anything. All I knew is that I was seeing these things, and there was a time in my life when she almost had me convinced that I was demon possessed, which I knew that I wasn't, or at least I felt that I wasn't. I didn't really know it for a fact. I was hoping I wasn't.
You're like,
I just knew there was more to it than that,
Yeah.
than just that. But she was a very religious woman, so.
Yeah, she almost, I guess everybody was, I guess when you have so many people trying to convince you of something, you almost start to question your own sanity at some point. But
Yeah, you do.
I think we're going to take a little quick break, and then when we come back, Crazy, you can finish telling us what you captured on your phone thing with the demon
All
thing.
right.
And then we'll go into Pets and the Paranormal. What do you think, Spooky? I guess she agrees because she already went on mute. So we'll be back in 3 minutes. So if anybody wants to get up, get a drink of water, stretch, go to the bathroom, whatever, we'll be back in 3 minutes to finish the second half of our show. Welcome back, guys, to Anything But Ordinary with Spooky and Raven and our caller Crazy. Like we said, we took a month off, so we're back, so we're a little out of the swing of it, but we'll get back into it in a little bit. I do want to give a shout out to Dan. He has a radio show called Bad Doggy in New York. He'll just drop out. He'll post a link for his show.
Drop your link in chat.
Yeah, and then we'll advertise it on the show here live. He has his own shows too, and he'll be doing coming back up again soon. He's still working on them to come back, but just wanted to say hi because he's given us a shout out. So we just wanted to give him a shout out for Bad Doggy. Go check him out. Look him up on Facebook and the internet. Anyway, welcome back, guys.
Jason's asking what the number is to call in. Jason, you have to Skype in.
The Skype button's above our chat and stuff, everything, but we don't want anybody to call in tonight. But we do, we'll have shows where we invite our viewers to call in and banter back and forth with us on some topics. But not tonight, though. I don't think so, right, Spooky? We got right. Okay.
I'm not sure if I'm on mute or not right now, so.
No, you're not.
No, we hear. They hear you.
Okay.
We hear you.
So doesn't our all of our listeners. They just heard you.
Right. So.
Run. What's up, Dip?
Okay. What was the story you were going to tell
Yeah,
us?
with the demons on your phone,
about
you
the
captured
demons?
a photo of them. Do you want to finish that part up?
Okay. We was living in my hometown before we moved back to I'd say north compared to where we was. We had a little apartment down there. Didn't know much about it or anything. We first moved in, things were going good. I always have a Bible open to Psalms 24, Psalms 25 laying around the house and stuff. And I walked upstairs and laid it on the banister and all this good stuff. Went back. So one night, me and the wife, we was watching a movie, and all of a sudden the Bible come flying down the stairs. I'm like, what? So I went over and picked it up. And I got a bad habit of picking a book up, seeing what it says on the page it lands on. It landed on. I opened it. It was at the end of the Bible where it says, I think it says the end is near or something like that, in Book of Revelations or whatever. Anyway, I put it back on where I had it, walked it back upstairs, laid it where it was, come back downstairs, start watching the movie. I got thirsty and everything. So I got up, went to the kitchen, got me something to drink, looked up out the window in front of the sink and stuff. I seen two red eyes glowing at me. I'm like, I hollered for the old lady. I'm like, you see what I see? She goes, no. I'm like, I see two red eyes. I turned my head, looked back, they were gone, of course. I walked back. I started back into the living room. I got a big icy cold of air run right through me. I stopped dead in my tracks. And me was like in a fast walking pace. And that's something I don't normally do. Even if there is a regular spirit around that touches me, I don't just stop. Excuse me. So we was there laying on the couch, watching a movie. Only light we had on was TV. The same phone that I was talking about earlier, it's one I can't find a charger for. I just started taking random pictures with it. And we got pictures of what appears to be an angel in a cemetery with her arm around a little girl. But at the same time, it looks like a dog is trying to jump up on the little girl.
And attack it or something.
Yeah, you can tell its mouth is open, like it's in an attack mode or whatever. And I was showing them to the wife. She goes, that is weird, like it. Well, a couple weeks went by. We had her mom and dad come down for a visit or something other. We fixed lunch, whatever, for them. All of a sudden, we heard a dragging noise coming from upstairs.
A dragging noise? Or you're
Yeah.
like somebody's dragging your body? Not
Yeah,
like dragon
dragon.
fire. Okay, dragon a body. Okay, got you, sound. Okay, got ya.
Um, so wife went upstairs looking around in the spare bedroom. We had our vacuum cleaner pushed to the middle of the floor, and what was in this room, the vacuum cleaner was up against the wall. We had our two beach cruiser bicycles in the middle of the floor on the carpet. Um, but the vacuum was up on the carpet in between the bicycles. She went to our room. At the time, we had a queen size double stacked air mattress because we didn't move our bed down yet. Um, Instead of it being up against the wall, it was pulled out of away from the wall and melted the floor. So she pushed it back up against the wall where we had it. By the time she made it back downstairs, she heard the dragging sound again. She goes, "D, come here." I'm like, "Why?" She goes, "It's the same sound I heard before, but this time I want you to go up there with me." So I went up there with her, and I just glanced real quick, didn't pay no attention to everything. Everything looked normal to me. She goes, "You better look in our bedroom and look good." So I looked real close and stuff. So sure enough, our air mattress is pulled to the middle of the floor on carpet now. I can understand air getting underneath it on tile flooring and
Push it a little, yeah. But not carpet, that's a lot more drag.
yeah, with shaggy carpet.
Right.
And so I went in there and I pushed it up against the door or the wall myself. We went back downstairs. About an hour or two later, we hear it again. This time I'm stomping up the stairs because I knew what it was after she told me once and I seen it myself. And this time, instead of the bed being pulled out into the middle floor, it's standing straight up along the wall side. I'm like, what the? You know what?
Banana, yeah. Is that? Yeah, go on.
What the banana?
And she goes, "Now open the spare bedroom door." I'm like, "What am I looking for in there?" She goes, "You know where everything was, just look." I I opened the door. This room, winter, summer, it stayed about 60 degrees to 50 degrees all year round. No heat, no air in this room because it was a floor-based heater type deals, and we didn't run the heater in that room because we really didn't need it. And I got looking. Our vacuum was in the middle of our bicycles. My pool sticks were laying on the floor, but we never heard them drop. That's weird. And so I got the idea. I called my buddy Tim. I'm like, "Hey, come over here. We're doing a little get together. Why don't you come over here and see if you have any experiences with us?" He came over. His 5 minute walk from his house because he lived like 2 blocks over. Um, so we set up some digital voice recorders. I got them somewhere here too. I just ain't drug them out yet. And I put a digital voice recorder, well, not digital voice recorder, it's a tape recorder, up in the closet in that room, and we got some weird talking going on this thing. I mean, it's not English, it's not Spanish, I don't, I've, my best guess would probably be maybe Latin, German, or something like that.
Oh, you should share with me and
Yeah.
Spooky. We know German. So that'd be interesting. I don't
You're
have to see
just
them.
going to have to find the charger to that phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't pay much attention else to everything after we did that for a little while because nothing really else happened. It's like it cooled down. And one night we was there watching a movie. I think we was watching it was My Bloody Valentine 3D or something like that on DVD or Blu-ray. And we heard something thump upstairs. We figured it was same old deal starting all over again. So he went up there as a vacuum cleaner, and I'm like, heck with it. I walked back downstairs. We gotta go to the store, right? She goes, yeah. I'm like, well, let's go. Didn't think nothing else of it. We come back home, unlocked the door, opened it. At the top of the stairs, we seen this big black figure.
Hmm.
And I'm like, I turned around, went back to the car, walked back in because I thought I was just seeing stuff at first. And when I come back in, it was two figures. I'm like, oh, snap.
I bet you didn't say snap.
Yeah, but
No,
that's
I
good
didn't,
enough for
but
the show. Thank you. But yeah,
that's why I said snap because of the show. And I'm like, you don't mess with me, I won't mess with you. I didn't think nothing else of it, just big two black blobs. I mean, all of a sudden, here comes the Bible flying down at the stairs again.
Oh, that's not good.
I'm like, okay, I know what you are. You
Right.
don't even have to come do anything to me. So, I got on the phone. I went to call my buddy. I'm like, hey, what you doing? He goes, nothing. I'm like, you care if we come over for a little while? He goes, sure. Why not? Because we was night owls anyway. We always run downtown, do a bunch of stuff, hang out. What was when we got back home, this one, it looked like a werewolf in a way, in the head shape. It had the like long ears, big snout and stuff, like a typical werewolf in a movie would have, but it also had horns coming out between its head.
huh?
Um, the eyes, they were like a very, very dark red where you could barely see them because of all the black mass and stuff around it. This stupid me did the worst mistake any person could do.
Give it a bone.
No,
What'd you do?
I challenged it.
I was going to
I'm,
say, you either provoked it or you challenged it.
I'm like, all right, you big boy, if you think you're big enough, let's do this. And my wife, she'll glide the Tetris test and everything with me. This thing, it looked like it looked at us and reached its arm out and took its index finger and motioned me like, come on, like if you dare or whatever.
I can't believe you challenged something that grabbed a Bible and threw it.
Well, to me, where we had a priest pray over our wedding bands and stuff when we got married, I'm like, nothing can harm me as long as I got the ring on, you know? But I didn't think till after this happened into the apartment, if something wanted to, it can make that ring hot enough where I take it off and then attack.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Things could rip things off you. See, people put too
right,
much faith in objects, and you shouldn't put your faith in your objects. You put faith in yourself and or some people
right.
believe the creator. You don't put it in an object just because it's blessed doesn't mean it's going to protect you. Just saying.
So I went back to the kitchen, grabbed me a Mountain Dew at the time. I was drinking it, and here come a big, like, somebody hit me square in between the neck and shoulder blades with an ice ball or a snowball. I'm like, I think I made a mistake.
Oh,
Like,
you
yeah.
think?
So while she went upstairs, put makeup on or something over, I forget what she done. Anyway, she had the bathroom door open. I'm like, I had to go to the bedroom. It's off from the bathroom upstairs, and so here I come upstairs. She can see me where I just walked into the bedroom. On one wall, I had a Confederate flag blanket on the wall, and where some of y'all know, back in my window here, I got a like a kiss poster thing over my curtains, and I had one over the head part of the bed. I was texting my buddy as I'm walking into the room. All of a sudden, the flag and the blanket both come ripping off the walls by themselves. I'm like,
Time to
Jamie, you
leave.
see this? She goes, yes, I did. I'm like, get the keys. Let's get out of here. So we took off. We contacted some people I used to go to church with. They helped us out.
Got you
They
guys
got
out.
hold, they got hold of a Catholic priest that's in the area of my hometown. They went out and had the whole Catholic Church pray over a bottle of EVOO, and they wanted me to go with them and bless the apartment. So they did the anointing thing on your forehead and stuff, cross your heart and all the good works, and prayed with you before you would go into battle, like they show in the movies. And my wife, she was sitting out in the car, and when we was going from room to room upstairs, she saw two black things jump out of our bedroom window. And when we made it back downstairs to do the living room and the final entranceway in the windows of the living room, she saw something else that was black jump out of our living room window.
So
So
she
apparently
saw
had
things,
I
fleeing
can't
the
believe
building, but
she
yet
saw
she's still
these things.
skeptical.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what I was going to say. I can't believe she saw these things and she's still skeptic.
I mean, she sees
And
all this stuff.
the way I believe is if you believe in God the Son and the Holy Ghost, you have to believe in ghosts.
Or demons and
Uh,
everything else.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, if you believe in God, you got to believe in demons. I mean, one goes with the other.
Yep.
I don't want to get into a
Yep.
religious discussion.
I don't either, but if you believe in one, you gotta believe in both of them.
Good and
Right.
evil, you mean? Well, so that's
Uh,
interesting. So that
uh,
alone would make. Maybe she just tells you she doesn't want to believe because she's afraid that if she lets herself believe that more things will happen. So if she denies it, maybe these occurrences won't happen as much. But obviously they're happening, and some people would rather put their heads in the
Well,
sand
some people
than
just
see
would
things.
rather think, no, this is not happening.
Right.
And maybe
well,
it'll go away.
I did some research about this area that they build these apartments on, and there's a railroad like not even 50 foot away from the apartments. On the other side of railroad tracks, there is a pretty good sized white church up on the hill, and there's three regular graveyards going around it. I guess it's one big graveyard, but into three sections. And if you walk a little ways down from the railroad tracks, there's like a small graveyard, maybe 6 to 8 markers in this graveyard, but there's a chain link fence going completely around it. So I don't know if it's an Indian burial ground there or what. Maybe ever who built the apartments and stuff didn't bless the land or
Well,
whatever.
they're also, you have to take into consideration their apartments. So you have other people living, walls apart from you, and who knows the things and attachments that other people may,
Who knows what they're doing in their apartments and what they're bringing in?
or what's
You
attached to
don't
them
know
or
if they
whatever.
have attachments. You don't know if they're over there playing with Ouija boards. You don't know what in the world they're doing.
Right. Which I do know there's a boy I went to school with. He used to live up there close to where it's same set of apartments, but on the other side. And he shook his baby to death.
Oh my.
And he's still doing time for it and everything, but I wonder if that had anything to do with it. That's the only murder I know that happened up there.
I mean, well, who knows?
Well,
Maybe he was being
anyone
influenced.
that would kill a baby, or any child has to have some evil in them.
Yep.
Well, I don't know
And
if they have evil in them, but
manifest
they
in
could have
many
just,
ways.
but he could have just snapped for a moment. I mean, people snap and do things and then don't mean to, and it happens. And babies are really fragile, and accidents can happen really quickly. And he may have not, just lost his temper and something happened, and it was just a brief moment in time. But that brief moment in time, he's gonna have to live with for the rest of his life. So, that stuff like that happens. But not to go too dark or whatever. So basically, you guys moved out and you haven't had any more demonic type things like that occur where y'all are at now. Then, so it was just that one
No.
thing after you guys got blessed and she saw the things leaping out of the house. So
Right.
at least they evacuated and left you all alone. So it's always a positive thing. I find it very fascinating that you guys have had all these multiple experiences, but yet she chooses to deny any of them. So
Yeah,
I guess that's just her best way to
Maybe that's
function
her way
with
of
it.
coping.
Yeah, coping. That's the word I want. Yeah.
Maybe that's just her way of coping. Maybe if she just ignores it and doesn't pay attention to them,
Go leave her
I
alone.
they'll leave her alone, or they'll go away, or they, whatever. I really don't know what's going through her mind. But I do find it fascinating that all these things happen and she's still skeptic. That's
But what else is weird is what she's wanting to do with her life and what she just finished college for.
That's not weird. I mean, Spooky is a licensed embalmer too, so you'll
Wow.
never run out of business. So, it's a
there are two
stable job.
things. There are three things actually in this world that are absolute: death, taxes, and people are going to drink.
That's not
But
true. Not everybody's a drinker. That's not absolute.
I didn't say everybody.
Oh,
I
that's
said
true.
people. But death and taxes are just an absolute in life. So that is something that will there'll always be um, a demand for. Although nowadays, though, a lot of people are turning to home funerals, but that's another subject
Yeah,
completely.
this is totally. But we could go into pets now and paranormal, because you have a couple photos. Excuse me, I had to cough a little bit. But
Yeah, we
I'm
were.
glad you moved from that apartment. Nothing evil followed you, and you guys are doing a lot better. But I totally encourage you to continue going out to that farm and seeing if you capture any more stuff and share it with our group, Spooky's Corner, or if you get a bunch of stuff, come back on the show again.
Oh, I will.
Oh. But you can stay on and, have a little banter back and forth with us as we do pets. So, Spooky, go ahead with the paranormal pet thing that you wanted to
Well,
talk
this
about.
was the subject I picked. Animals don't have to deal with the same cultural beliefs as humans. They don't deal with religion, politics, sports, or whether or not the paranormal exists. They're not skeptics and they're not believers. They just react to what they can see and sense around them. Are animals psychic? Maybe. Are animals sensitive to their environment and surroundings? Absolutely. I do believe in animal ghosts or spirits, whatever you want to call them. I've had a few experiences with them. But animals see that. I had this little dog once, and it was sitting on my lap, and it would stare off into space, so to speak, and it would keep moving its head like something was trying to pet it and it didn't want it to touch it. They see what's around them. That I know that they can sense when things are there when other people can't. I know they see things. And if you've been watching any of the paranormal shows on TV lately, they're getting to where they are more and more getting into using dogs to help them hunt ghosts. There are even websites that claim you can train your pet to be a ghost hunter. But they suggest, and I can't understand this, they suggest big dogs like German Shepherds, Rottweilers, or Dobermans. Now, maybe it's just me,
I think it's
but if
people just come up with a theory and then they just put it out there. They're
I
like,
think they do,
everybody
but
has their own truths and disbeliefs and theories and whatnot, and they just throw it out there. And
well, maybe it's just me, but if a Rottweiler comes face to face with a ghost, how is a big dog going to help?
how is any? It doesn't. I don't know. People have their own ideas, and that's why the world is
Well,
such
the
a
only
big,
thing that
diverse
dog's going to
place.
do is beat your butt, getting you out of the way so he can take off.
Right.
Um,
But
Go on, Spooky.
I,
um,
Wait,
I
Crazy, let her finish her thing. Go ahead.
I used to have this dog that I had this dog for like 15 or so years. It was a Siberian Husky, and his name was Thunder. Thunder was my constant companion, but he was also, sensitive to my feelings. If I was feeling sad, I had this thing where I would sit on the couch, and if I was really, really depressed, I'd sit there and cry. And he had this thing where he would get up on the couch and lay his head in my lap, and I'd sit there, and I'd just pet him, and I'd feel better. Well, a couple times, the one time I can remember, my sister passed away in 2011, and I this really, really upset me because she was her and I did a lot of things together. We
But
used
she
to
was
go
your
out.
sister, so yeah.
Well, she was my sister, yeah, but not only my sister, she was my friend. we used to go out into cemeteries and catalog old cemeteries for the local historical society, and things like that was something that she loved to do and something that I love to do. And it was a couple days after her funeral that I was sitting on the couch and I was just bawling like a baby. And I actually felt, and you could see the cushions pressed down on this couch. I felt something crawl up on the couch, and I felt it put its head in my lap. And I stopped crying because I knew exactly what it was. It was my dog climbing up there to give me comfort. And it even reached up and licked me on the face. And I felt that dog's tongue on my face.
Yep, this was your husky, right?
This was my husky.
Yeah.
And my husky, like I said, was my constant companion. He went everywhere with me. He even went on dates with me. And of course, I didn't go out much because I had to take my dog with me most of the time. But this was a dog that hardly ever left my side. And when I went out to go to college, I took him with me. So this was a dog that
He was
I
your
had with
friend
me
for
constantly. He was
for
my
life.
friend.
Yeah, he was there for
Exactly.
everything, good times, bad times, indifference, whatever. But he was just there. He was your companion. He was your pal, and he sensed. You're saying that he sensed the sorrow that you were going through, and he came and tried to comfort you the way
One
that he would
time
do when he was around.
One thing about huskies is they shed, and they shed a lot. They get this winter coat,
It
and
almost
when
sounded
they
like you said sh, other word.
no, I said
I
shed.
I know. but go on.
SHED or
Yeah.
SHEAD, sorry. But
Fur.
they
Yes.
whatever. But they shed. And he would get they get this winter coat. And in the springtime, when they shed this coat, I'm not kidding you. I mean, I could brush him and fill up 2, 3 paper sacks with the fur that come off this dog.
You'd have 3 extra dogs in the house just from the
I'd
fur
have 3
alone.
extra dogs in the house, just waiting for them to form there. And one day I was vacuuming out my closet and I found a clump of his hair in there. And this was not really too long after he had died. And I just started crying. Just started crying. It wasn't he hadn't been gone too long, and I felt him lick my face. So I know that they come back and visit us. I know that they're always around us, and it just it was just comforting to know that he was still around. And every once in a while, I would hear his little barks. He had this funny thing that he would do when he got up in the morning. He'd stretch and he'd make this funny little sound. Then he'd do a little yip yip yip, and then he'd go on to his way. And more than once, I've heard that.
He's probably like, "Yep, everybody get up." Who knows? You're up.
Yeah, it's yip yip yip. I made it through another day.
Yeah. But it's fascinating. But throughout history, humans have always debated whether animals have souls, basically based on false assumptions that animals are somehow, inferior to humans based off the reasoning that their intelligent levels are far less superior, or that, some faiths, beliefs, doctrines, whatever, differ from one religion to another, stating if they do or don't. But almost all religions in existence talk about everything having a soul.
Well, I don't know about that.
Well, all living beings exist in 2 forms, either physical or metaphysical.
I think it's a possibility because, like I said, my dog Thunder has come back and visited me several times, and I know it was him. I mean, when you have a dog for almost 15 years, you know that dog. You know his characteristics, you know his little quirks. I mean, you know everything about that dog. And I do believe that they can see things that we can't, and they can sense things that we can't. I had I had a little dog named Badger, and I could write a book on that dog. And he every once in a while he would go from room to room just growling because he was seeing something and he was following it and he was growling. And it's not because I'm guessing it wasn't because he was afraid. It's just that he was a territorial little thing and he didn't want anything in his space.
Mm-hmm.
And when he would chase it far enough, he would turn around and come back. But if something came in the room, and this house is full of spirits, but I know that they're spirits of, with the exception of a couple, they're spirits of relatives. But he just never really cared to be in this house that much, and I honestly believe it's because of all the spirits that are in this house. Plus, I don't think they liked him. It wasn't like Thunder, who had been in this house since he was a pup, and I guess he was used to what was in this house, or whatever is in this house didn't bother him much, because he was just a likable dog, where Badger was just, let's face it, the stories I've told you about him, he was just not a likable dog.
Of course he's likable to some. I mean, it depends. I mean, he had character, and he brought entertainment and interesting things in your life, and now you have stories to talk about for the rest of your life. But I mean,
I could write a book on that one.
right, but it's not just our pets sensitive, are they seeing things too, but it's also part of the topic was where people are debating, because there's so many people with different belief systems and different cultures and stuff.
Scientists and pet owners have been debating for years, and sometimes the debate gets hot and heavy, as to whether or not pets are psychic or not.
Right.
And I do believe that they are sensitive to otherworldly things. You have a cat. Have you ever watched your cat?
Have I ever watched my cat?
Yeah.
My cat is, when we're always at the farm, he's constantly seeing things, and where he's seeing things, then things start to happen. Or, I mean, I see things. We were just there not that long ago, and objects were flying around. I told you guys that. I told you, I set up the cams and stuff, and, we haven't gone through them yet, all of us, because I just got back. But I did a couple of things outside, just to turn it on, left it running to see if we'd see anything or catch anything. But I did the basement stairs that one day because you asked for me to do it because of the stories I've told you. And that night, things in the older basement started flying down the stairwells off of the wall that they've been hanging.
But before you saw
for years
anything, though, did your cat see anything? I mean, was he
Yeah.
acting strange or something?
He
See,
always
my dogs,
sees-
my
he
dogs
sees
would
stuff,
do that
but-
too, and I do believe that they can see things and sense them before we do.
Or we
Because
see
there's
them.
been times when I've watched my dog, and he would be looking at something, and to people who didn't know my house or didn't know my dog would think, oh, he's just staring into space.
Mhm.
But I'd be watching him, and he'd be staring at something, so I would look in that direction, and pretty soon whatever was there would make itself known in one way or another.
Well, maybe because people are more closed-minded due to, their thought processes and whatever that has, their belief systems, untruths and truths, or whatever you want to call it. But, maybe people are just too dumb to see because they don't want to see, because they're just living a certain way. But animals are not the same as us as far as the aspect where they're not thinking about things that we're thinking about all day long, so they see things pretty easily, I'm sure. But
well, that's like some animals, they know when danger's around.
well,
It doesn't have to be a spirit or anything, but like smaller animals, they know when there's a hawk swooping down to grab them. They, they just have this thing about them, and I don't know if it's an inner alarm or intuition or what it is, but they know when there's danger around. They know when bad weather's coming in. Animals know things that we cannot even sometimes comprehend.
Well, that's
Or
what
go ahead.
Well, that's what I was kind of going into, because depending on where you grew up, right, and your
Right.
family, and most of the time you're a product of your environment and what your family's belief system is until you get to a certain age, like we were talking about this earlier, and then you go explore truths and figure out what's truthful, what's not truthful, whatever. But there's a lot of people out there that believe that animals are not intelligent, that they're far less superior than us.
Oh, that's not true.
No, I know that, but that's what's out there. But they also believe, because of certain faiths, and doctrines, whatever, from different religions, they're teaching you that, they aren't at the same level that we are, or they don't have the capability of things that we do or whatever. But if you go, like, I was kind of looking around because this is a topic that you brought up about, pets and the paranormal, but not just are they sensitive, but people, there's people who love their pets and they want to know if these, where they go after they die, because they're emotionally attached to these things. But animals, they, parrots alone, people think that parrots are just squawking, brainless birds, but they're not. I mean, studies over the past 30-some years constantly show that parrots are engaging in much more than mere mimicking people. I mean, they actually have a grasp on linguistic, and, parrots are extremely smart, and you can go and read up on studies on that and science. Not just parrots, but you got apes, and they've done extensive studies on apes that showed that they had self-awareness, emotional understanding,
Well, they showed where apes can reason out things.
Right, and
they
problem
can
solving.
use tools.
But not just that, even ravens and crows do that. That's why one of the reasons why I find those birds very fascinating is because animals do have emotions, and they do have, skills and intellect, and just because we don't understand them, because we can't understand their language, it's funny, but they can understand our language. I mean, look at dogs and cats and commands and everything else, but they can figure out what we're saying, but we can't figure out what they're saying,
Yeah.
Right.
I lost my
Animals are
thought there for a
people too.
second.
Animals are people too, is that what you said?
Yep.
I think that they are very intelligent, and you showed me a video not too long ago
Who?
about
Him or
this
me?
squirrel
Oh,
that was
me,
trying
yeah.
to climb up this pole.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And what it was, for the people that didn't see this video, the squirrel was trying to climb up a pole, and these people were trying to keep this squirrel out of the bird feeder because there was a bird feeder hanging on this pole. Well, so they went out there and they put Vaseline on the pole. So this squirrel would try to climb up the pole and slide down. It was a funny little video. But the point is that this squirrel tried everything he could to get up that pole, and he was sitting there reasoning it out. Nothing worked.
But remember,
for
he
him.
was doing practice jumps too. He was
doing practice jumps,
but not
trying
on
to
the pole.
jump
But
up
he
that
was
pole.
there was tall vegetation there, vegetables or whatever, and he was jumped over some of the smaller ones, and then there was these huge plants. Remember that? He ran off a little bit, came running and leaped to see how high he could jump over that. If he figured, if I can jump that high, he jumped super high for the pole. So he was gauging and analyzing the area and studying and thinking. So there was thought behind what he was doing. He wasn't just doing an repetitive action. But it's not just that, but animals, I mean, elephants and everything else, we've seen videos of them mourning the death of their family members and babies and whatnot. Not just them, but dogs and cats, cry for their parents after they're taking them away from them. I mean, animals have emotions and they have connections. They look out for each other. I mean, humans are the only ones that are out destroying their own. I mean, because you don't see animals destroying their environment and purposely trying to kill themselves off.
There are only
humans
there are only two species in the world that kill for pleasure. One of them is humans, the other is dolphins. And dolphins will kill for pleasure. That's like people think that the orca, the killer whale, is a whale. It's actually a dolphin, and they kill for pleasure. So you've only got two species in the world that will deliberately harm their own kind just for the heck of it.
But
animals by instinct protect each other.
But you've never seen, like, we were reading on this one internet thing when we were just bantering back and forth and we were talking about this stuff. I mean, you've never seen an animal tie razor blades to humans and see them peck each other to death, or you never see dogs throw a bag full of babies into a river and they drown and stuff. I mean, animals are not as cruel as humans are to everything, because humans, face it, a lot of humans, not everybody, so please don't get angry and blow up our email, whatever, but basically man thinks that he's the center of the universe and everything should evolve around him and bow down to him, and we're not. Everything is, we were all created equally, really, in a certain aspect.
I think that animals do have an internal instinct to let them know when something is around that is not normal. Like a dog, for instance, and I use a dog for an example because that's what I like.
Oh, you don't like cats? Well,
Well,
Chewy
I'm
on
not
you.
that fond of cats. I have one here that she's lucky she's still here. But anyway,
Maybe you shouldn't have named her what you did. So.
maybe I shouldn't have. But I lost my train of thought. A, a dog knows what's normal in his environment. A dog knows when something when there's someone here that shouldn't be here. They know when something's here that shouldn't be here, or they know that it was something. That's like the dog I have now, Brutus. Brutus has been here long enough. He's used to what's going on in this house. And there was more than once that I've seen an apparition, a partial apparition, that I've seen him just walk right by it. I've seen him look at it and then just keep on walking like, yeah, it's part of life in this house.
Well, but they probably see, because, I mean, if you think about it, to me, my belief is that everything, we're so close and connected, it's just a thin veil. And the more that you become spiritual and remember what you are, spirit, having a human experience,
I think
then you
animals
start to see
get
things more.
connected to their pets. Not all animals, but I think pets get connected to their owners enough that they can anticipate what that owner is going to do. And I don't like to refer
when
to
you
them
live
as
with
owners
it,
because my pets are like kids to me.
But when you live with somebody in general anyway, you get to know their habits. It doesn't mean,
right,
that they don't. I mean, even humans know when someone's in a bad mood just by, the way that they're just sitting a certain way or the way that they're looking or whatever. You get used to them because you've been around them for a while. But, I mean, I understand that animals see stuff. I believe that they do. I think people have the same ability if they want to, but people choose to live more carnally and closed off, and that may be why they don't catch it as much.
Closed minds. Now, don't send me bad email. I'm not saying all people, but people in general have closed minds. But through the years, people have looked to animals to tell what's going to happen. Like if bad weather's coming in, they watch the animals. If it's going to rain, they watch the animals. If they're going to have good weather, they watch the animals. That's like right now, the squirrels are digging up their nuts. So don't laugh at that.
Sorry. Crazy made me laugh.
But the squirrels are digging up their nuts.
Right.
Because we're going to have an early winter. Just by watching them, we're going to have an early winter. By watching they call them woolly worms. They're those big woolly caterpillars. I've been watching them, and everyone I've seen has been totally black. I mean, there's been no stripes on them, no light brown stripes or anything like that.
Right.
And that tells me that it's going to be a hard winter. They are more accurate than the doggone weatherman.
Well, which would be a great job to have, because it's okay if you can be wrong, you'll never be fired. But the thing is, if you think about it, because this is another thing that goes with, I mean, humans are nothing without social structure. No, just listen to me, okay? Our collective intelligence is based on the social structure, right? Not
right.
Everybody, not everybody's individual intelligence. So if you send people out nowadays, say, and throw them on an island with no clothes, no food, no water, no tools, no nothing, basically back to caveman time, nobody would know how to survive unless they had that intelligence in them. And not everybody, as far as our social structure allows us to share things with, as a group, because of all of these people with their different intelligences. Sorry, that's not even a real word, but you know what I'm saying? It's what makes us all where we're at. If it wasn't for this person, we wouldn't have this. If it wasn't for that person, we wouldn't have this. And let's face it, there's a lot of dumb people out there that are dumber than posts. And if it wasn't for certain people in society doing the things and creating these things and letting us over time come up to where we are, they would be stupid and wouldn't be existing, Whereas animals know how to take care of themselves, and, they don't need the whole structure and whatnot that we have. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Or not so much? I lost you.
No, I know what you're trying to say. A lot of humans' problems is social structure. They have to keep up with the Joneses.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the fact is that why people think that they're so intelligent and far more up than animals is because of the social structure, because there's a whole bunch of us, because there are certain people out there that have the ability to be thrown on an island and know how to survive, but most people wouldn't.
To think for themselves and to reason things out. That's like so and so does this, so or everybody does this, so we do it too.
Well,
You know,
well, yeah,
what
everybody. But I'm just saying, there's sheep.
we've got people telling us how to live. What clothes to wear, and personally, I don't give. Um, how can I say this nicely? I could care less about what the latest fashion is.
Well,
Okay, but
that's not what I was saying. But yeah, the point is not
we
everybody.
just a lot of people just can't think for themselves, and like you say,
Yeah,
if they were thrown on an island
they wouldn't
and had
survive.
to survive, they would not make it.
Exactly, but because we live in a social structure with a wide variety of people and different levels of, what they know, is why we all can survive. But if that breaks down, we can't. But animals are doing it every day fine.
Animals
but yet
do not have to do that.
Right.
If you turn a cat out, I have barn cats. Okay, I don't feed those barn cats. Those barn cats are out there. They feed themselves. And there are two advantages to that. They are getting rid of my rodent problem, and they are getting rid of snake problem, because they will kill both. My dog, when he goes out and he roams through the woods and everything, do you think he's not finding something to eat out there? He probably is. Coyotes, they're out there in the wild. They know how to survive. That's because they know how to do it. It's an instinct with them. They don't have a social network telling them how to do it.
If it wasn't for the social structure alone, the very few of us, because we learn from everybody in the group. But if we didn't have that, I guess we wouldn't have the population that we have. But I'm just trying to prove a point that humans are not as intelligent and high up as they think they are. It's because of certain things that allow us to be, and because we have people teaching us and doing all that stuff. But not everybody's, born and has this knowledge just because you're taught this and everything else. But animals, they have their intelligence too. They're not just going through a routine. They have emotions. They have attachments. They care for their family and stuff. And they also care for animals that aren't even theirs. You can, like my friend I just saw her have a post where her dog and her piggy are hanging out on a bed, getting along, and they probably will take care of each other, but they're totally two separate species, But humans aren't, humans can walk by other humans laying on the street and could care less and let them die. But other animals.
Brutus walked through with a cat in his mouth. Doesn't mean he was hurting it, just means he was giving it a ride.
Right, but I'm just stating that animals go out and help totally completely different species, whereas humans don't care.
There have been,
but yet they're saying that
their own species. I had two cats one night that were, both of them on the same night were having kittens. One had two kittens, got up and left. That cat never came back. I don't know what happened to that cat.
She didn't want babies.
She just up and left.
Right.
And I took those two kittens and put them with the other cat that was having kittens, and she nursed them and raised them.
Right. But my point is,
there's not many humans, and don't get me wrong, there are humans that will do it, but there's not many out there that will do it.
Right. But my point is that you can see by all these different animals, if you sit and watch animals and study them, you can see that they have something to them. And our soul, that's who we are. The spirit that's in us, that's our personality, that's our intelligence, that's where everything comes from. Even animals have that. For people to say that animals are just nothing but stupid things and just treat them like crud and hit them and use them for fighting or whatever.
You can learn a lot by watching animals.
But my point is that animals have spirits just like we do, because that's who we are. That's what we are. They have emotions just like we do. They have caring skills like we do, but
people have instinct too, but a lot of people will not use that instinct. Have you ever gone someplace where you were going someplace, you were getting ready to go into a place, and something told you, hey, don't go in there, or something told you when you got down the road a little ways, turn around and go home, don't go down this way, and you didn't do it, you just ignored that instinct, and then something happened?
Well, right, but the point was I was trying to make for listeners to know that, to make them maybe to think, but because people are curious, where do our pets go somewhere after they die? And to prove the point, it was like we're talking about souls. Well, obviously, you're saying that they have their spirit just like we are because of these things that we just had said. But also, if you want to go, okay, Christians or Catholics traditionally teach that animals don't go to heaven, that they just don't, they say that they have a spirit because the Bible talks about it in Ecclesiastics and also in the Genesis. And God, we're not going into like a whole religious thing. I'm just throwing things out there of different belief systems that people have, for the topic that we're talking about. But it said God created, all the animals and creepy things and spoke that they all had a living soul, so, and it states it in Genesis and Ecclesiastics for those who are Catholic, Christian, everything. We want to go read about it. It talks about these animals do and are living souls just like we are. And he created everything. And in the beginning, in the time, if you want to read your Bible, that's what they're talking about. It talks about that they all coexist together and they're all equal and they were meant to eat plants or whatever. So it talks about in there that they are living souls as well. And the American Indians, now they believe that all living things are children of the earth, and it doesn't matter if they have feet, wings, or roots, that there is an afterlife for the animals and for everything. That's what Native Americans believe. And Hindus, they think...
But the Native Americans, even to this day, they watch the animals. If they want to know if something is not right in the world, they will watch the animals.
Right. And see, but Native Americans believe that there's an afterlife for animals and humans and everything. They believe that everything, matters because we're all part of the Creator and we're all equal and everything. And then you got the Hindus, and they believe that animals have souls, but unlike humans, they don't believe that they have the ability to reason and can discriminate between right and wrong. And they believe that animals keep going from birth.
Are they the ones that think that when their relatives die or people die, they come back as rats?
Well, I don't know. They say that animals keep going from birth to death again until they slowly evolve into like higher forms and eventually reach the human plane. That's what Hindus believe. And then, well, we already know what the Catholics believe, but this is the reason why certain people believe certain things is because it's in the certain doctrines that they're reading or what they're taught on, because it doesn't nowhere in the Christian Bible, whatever, I'm just using it as an example, and I'm not attacking any religions or people's belief systems or anything. We're just talking in general, trying to show how, how each person believes if something has a soul or doesn't have a soul, or if they're a spirit or if they're not a spirit. But the thing is I lost my thought. But the thing was, in the Bible, it talks about all animals are living spirit and that God created them. But it doesn't state in there if they go to heaven or they don't go to heaven, So they can't say if they do or they don't, because it's not even in there. So for a certain church or a certain person to say, oh no, this thing doesn't go here because it's not stated. I mean, how do you know? There's people who've had near-death experiences, and when they died, they saw their pet greet them when they were there, and then they came back,
I really don't know. I'm not really sure if I agree with that or not. To be honest with you, I know they come back I do know that they come back and visit us after they die. I've experienced it myself. Are they psychic?
Well, I don't understand what you don't agree with or don't agree with. I'm just stating what they were saying, but I don't get what you're saying you do or don't agree with. What part are you talking about?
That they have souls.
You don't know if animals do or don't have souls?
No, I don't.
But yet you just said that they have personalities, emotions, and moods. That's just like we do, and they have intellect and reasoning and emotional understanding and self-awareness.
Yeah.
So that...
I do believe that, and I do believe that they can see things. They can see things in spirits and things like that we can't see. I believe that they can sense them. I do believe that they come back and visit us once they die, but I don't know if that has anything to do with them having a soul or not. I don't know if it's because of the energy they left here, although the encounters that I had with my dog were intelligent encounters.
But it is. That's what makes you what you are, is the fact that we're a living spirit. Everything has a living spirit, and it's spoken about in every religion, period. It doesn't state if they'll be in the same plane or an existence where we'll be afterwards, but it even states in your belief system that you believe in, if you read in Genesis 1:24, it says, God said, let the earth bring forth souls of life according to its kind, the cattle, the beasts, and the field, and creeping things around its kind. It says, to every animal of the earth, and to every bird of the heavens, and to every creepy thing on earth, in which is a living soul. It states several places in your belief system and in other people's, in their doctrine and stuff, it's saying that these things do have souls. They are living souls just like we are. Therefore, they have the self-awareness, emotional understandings. They have caring skills and bond with their humans and everything else. So there is a soul. But the fact is, I think what you're saying is you don't know if they continue on to where we'll go to.
Right.
And that it doesn't state that in the Bible and the belief system that we're knowing and talking about right now. But as far as other religions and whatnot, they also believe that everything has a living spirit, because that's what we all are, living spirits in a body, one form or of another. But no one states or can state or say that they know for a fact if we're all going to be in the same place. But I think that if God created everything for us to be happy with it, and if your pets made you happy, I would think that, you know, he would want you to continue to be happy in your next existence or where you moved on to. So why not have your pet be there, you know?
Well, it's something to think about.
Well, yeah, that's why you made it a topic, because it was a bantering thing back and forth that you have talked about, you know?
Exactly. And I thought it was an interesting topic. We are out of time.
Well, I don't know if you still want to show your photos. We can go as long as we want, because you still have your 2 photos. I don't know if you want to show those.
Okay, yeah, we can go a little over.
Our show, so.
I go to this place every once in a while. As a matter of fact, I even work there once in a while, volunteer there. It's called the Cheney Mansion. And I have been in there on an investigation several times. And one night when I was in there, I heard a meow. So I started taking pictures in the direction of where I heard this. And this is what I got. This is the first one that I got. And I was told that there was a spirit of a dog and a cat in this place. But I was doing actually doing an EVP session when all of a sudden I heard a meow, and it was just as clear as day. And this is the first picture that I got. And I don't know why I actually took it of this plant. I took the picture in the direction that I thought the meow came from. And then I started taking random pictures. And this next picture...
Well, first point out what people should look at. You know, you see the plant, but then there's that little white...
This little fuzzy looking like thing in the plant is the cat.
It's like a tail or something.
I don't see a tail. It's like it's in the plant and it's just poking its head out.
Oh, see, I see a little white thing there between the lady's pants leg and the tree.
Right there between those 2 women.
Okay.
The woman on the right, it's just left of her jeans.
Now this is a cropped up photo, because this was actually a bigger photo of a whole couch.
Yeah, that was a bigger photo, but I cropped it because I figured there was no reason in knowing who members of my group are.
Well, they weren't in there, but it showed a huge couch, though, right?
Yeah, it showed a huge couch and a piano and other. Now this is a picture I took. This was a random picture, and I don't know why I faced this picture, my camera, to the window. But if you look between the curtains, you can see a cat sitting there on the windowsill. Now, the long thing that looks like the tail is not the tail of the cat. It's actually a wooden chair that's out on the porch on the other side of the glass. But you can even see the eyes on that thing.
I see that. Where is I see like a white swooshy thing. I keep thinking that
it's a white furry thing. It's right between the curtains in the window. It's sitting on the windowsill on the inside.
I just keep thinking that that's its tail, you know.
No, that what looks like its tail is actually a wooden chair out on the porch.
No, the fuzzy thing in front of the wooden chair. I just think I'm looking at a tail every time. Like there's a cat creeping and you just see his tail poking up. It's hard for me to see, but that's what I see. But maybe other people are seeing what you're seeing. But it looks like you keep capturing some animal roaming around, you know?
Well, these are not the only animals that I ever caught in that place.
Right.
But for some reason, the cat likes to have its picture taken.
Kind of like my cat likes to be on the show. So just
Right.
cats, I guess, like to get into everything. But I think it's fascinating that, you know, you not just in one part where you caught it in that one by that one lady's legs. It could have been just a fluke, something with the plant, but then all of a sudden you're in a different area and you take the picture again, and that same thingy's showing up.
This is way over on the other side of the room.
Right. So that's another fascinating thing as far as we're talking about pets in the afterlife. And I think everybody at some point, if not everybody, a lot of people have seen the shadow animals, you know, running, you know, cat size or dog size running by. I think everybody's kind of seen things like that. Every once in a while, like, did I just see something? And then some people are seeing more solid objects, and then you have this thing kind of showing up. You know, I think
And there was
it's
nothing in
fascinating.
that window when I took the pictures. As a matter of fact, you could see practically the entire chair that's sitting there when I took the photo. But when I developed them, and these are not digital photos, by the way. These are photos that was taken on my Nikon, a 35 millimeter camera. So these are not, and it even showed up on the negative.
Mm-hmm.
So I use my Nikon a lot. I don't use my digital camera
I thought
that often.
I thought you lost that camera.
The digital?
No, I
Or
thought
the
your
Nikon?
Nikon was stolen.
The Nikon, I don't use it so much anymore because it's hard to find film.
Oh, I thought that one got stolen. I guess it was your digital one that got stolen.
It was one of the digital cameras that got stolen.
Right.
But the Nikon, I hardly ever use it anymore because, for one thing, it's hard to find 35 millimeter film now.
I don't even know if
And
there's a
every
place
once
where
in
they process a 35 millimeter.
Well, you can still get it
Millimeter.
processed at Walmart and Walgreens,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't process. They don't. I think it's Walgreens doesn't print out the pictures. They put them on a disc, and I would rather have the picture in my hand because when I go over it, and especially with a magnifying glass or something, you know, it's easier to see. Otherwise, I have to pull it up on the screen to do that. And I've always had better luck seeing things, you know, just looking at the photo. But every once in a while, I do run across a place that has 35 millimeter film cheap, and I will buy up all that I can afford or all they have at the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's getting harder and harder to find it, though. So, like I said, I don't use that camera as much as I used to, and I've never had bad luck with that camera. I've always been able to get great photos with it.
Whoops, I meant to click the other one. Sorry. Go on.
But it's like I said, it's harder and harder to find 35 millimeter film.
Right. Well, I thought it was a interesting photo. I know we kind of got over on the one thing, but like I said, we just came back. We haven't been doing a show for like a month or whatever, so we'll get back into the swing of things, you know, as we go again. But I mean, me and Spooky don't know for sure where our pets go or where animals go after they die, but I do believe that every living thing has a spirit because we're spirits, and I do.
Well, I would like to think though that when I pass over that I would see thunder again.
And maybe you will. I mean, nobody really knows, but as far as we're not here stating, you know, what everybody else believes wrong and what we believe is right. I mean, me and you just like to talk, and we just throw things out there. It doesn't mean that we always believe some of the things that we're saying.
Yeah,
We're
so
just
don't be sending us hate mail.
Yeah, sometimes we just share things that we've read and we found interesting, so we banter back and forth about it or whatever. But the thing, as far as I believe that every living thing is a spirit, and everything has a spirit. You know, we have emotions, and you know, we have intellect. You know, and we have ways to. So I don't think that animals are less superior than us.
I do believe that animals do have intellect, and I do believe that animals have emotions, and I do believe that they come back and visit us.
Right. But as far as the statement of where do pets go after they die, do they go to heaven or hell or whatever? We don't know. But I do believe that every living thing has a spirit or is a spirit, and you know, you've had experiences, other people have had experiences where their pets have come back and visited them. So, you know, I guess it's up to our listeners to believe what they want to believe, really. But I mean,
Exactly.
I find it fascinating, some of the photos that you had and other people are sharing on the internet of catching spirit-like animals. So my belief is, I believe that your story, I believe your story. I believe that Thunder came back and comforted you when you really needed it. I don't think that he always hangs out there, because I think he's doing his thing, having a good time. But
I don't think he always hangs out there either, but I do think
when
he has
you
shown
need
up.
it, he comes, you know?
He has, every time that he has come back and visited me, it was at a time when I really needed it.
Right, and I totally believe that. And I think that probably other people have had similar experiences like you have, and they share their stories out on the internet and stuff. And there's also veterinarians that they have been, you know, blogging and talking about pets and emotions and everything else, and they've talked about seeing animal spirits and everything else. So I guess it's out there. If people really want to know, just kind of research and find out your own truths, really, right?
Right.
I don't know. Thanks for the interesting talk. Thanks, Crazy, for coming on tonight. Thank you, everybody, for showing up and being patient for us to come back after a month.
Join us next week, October 7th. We'll be discussing Abandoned America, Centralia, Pennsylvania, Salton Sea, Bodie, California, Pitcher, Oklahoma. I want to thank you for coming. Be sure to share us on Facebook. And thank you to Crazy for calling in and sharing his experiences and photo with us.
Right.
And I want to thank our mods for doing a good job tonight. And thank you, Raven.
Yeah, thanks, Spooky. And I also want to say we also have our podcasts on YouTube, so go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can find it all on our website. So good night, everybody, and thank you for coming.